The power of walking alone. The hook. There will come a moment in your life when the crowd disappears. No applause, no reassurance, no messages telling you to keep going. No one standing beside you saying, "You can do this." And in that moment, you will discover who you really are. Because anybody can move forward when they are celebrated. Anybody can dream when they are supported. Anybody can feel confident when the world agrees with them. But the people who change their lives, the people who become unstoppable, are the ones who keep walking, even when they must walk alone. Listen carefully. Some of the greatest transformations in your life will happen in silence, not in front of an audience, not when everyone believes in you. But in those quiet moments when doubt is screaming in your mind and you still choose to take one more step forward. That is the power of walking alone. Walking alone does not mean you are weak. It does not mean you failed. It does not mean nobody loves you. Sometimes walking alone means you finally stopped betraying yourself just to fit in. Sometimes it means you chose growth over comfort. Sometimes it means the universe removed distractions so you could finally hear your own voice. And that journey, painful, lonely, uncertain, becomes the very thing that builds your strength. Because strength is not built when life is easy. Strength is built when you are tired, disappointed, heartbroken, misunderstood, and you continue anyway. The world will try to convince you that being alone is something to fear. But some of the most powerful people on earth spent years walking through darkness before anyone recognized their light. The warrior trains alone. The visionary thinks alone. The dreamer believes alone, long before the world catches up. And maybe that's where you are right now. Maybe people do not understand your vision. Maybe your goals seem too big for the people around you. Maybe you feel exhausted carrying dreams nobody else can see. But hear this clearly. You do not need permission to become who you were meant to be. You do not need validation to pursue your purpose. You do not need a crowd to begin your journey. Sometimes all you need is the courage to take the first lonely step. Because the truth is, the road that leads to greatness is rarely crowded. When you start losing people. One of the hardest parts about growth is realizing that not everyone is meant to grow with you. That hurts, because we naturally want people to understand us. We want support. We want connection. We want the people we love to believe in our dreams the same way we do. But life does not always work that way. Sometimes the moment you start evolving, people become uncomfortable. The moment you stop settling, people call you selfish. The moment you start protecting your peace, people say you changed. The moment you start believing in yourself, people accuse you of thinking you're better than them. But growth changes your frequency, and not everyone can go where you are going. That's why walking alone becomes necessary, not because you hate people, not because you think you are superior, but because your future requires a version of you that your past cannot always understand. There are seasons in life where isolation is preparation, a season where friendships fade, a season where relationships end, a season where you feel disconnected from everyone around you. And during those moments, it's easy to think something is wrong with you. But maybe nothing is wrong. Maybe life is clearing space. Maybe distractions are being removed. Maybe comfort is leaving your life so purpose can enter it. Because comfort and growth rarely live in the same place. Growth asks more from you. It asks for discipline when you feel lazy, faith when you feel uncertain, courage when you feel afraid. And sometimes it asks you to walk forward without knowing who will walk beside you. That is terrifying, but it is also powerful. Because when you walk alone long enough, you stop depending on external validation. You stop asking, "Do they believe in me?" And you start asking, "Do I believe in myself?" That question changes everything. The silence that builds you. Most people are addicted to noise, constant opinions, constant distraction, constant validation. But silence reveals truth. And when you walk alone, silence becomes your teacher. At first, silence feels uncomfortable. You notice your fears more. Your insecurities become louder. Your doubts begin speaking. You start questioning yourself. Am I good enough? What if I fail? What if nobody ever understands me? What if I'm wasting my time? But if you stay in that silence long enough, something incredible begins to happen. Your fears lose power. Because you realize most fear is not reality, it's imagination. And underneath all the noise, you finally hear your authentic voice. Not the voice of society, not the voice of comparison, not the voice of people projecting their limitations onto you. Your voice. The voice that remembers your purpose. The voice that says, "Keep going. Don't quit. You were made for more." Walking alone teaches you how to trust that voice. And trust is powerful. Because once you trust yourself, the world loses its ability to control you. You stop living to impress others. You stop shrinking yourself to make people comfortable. You stop abandoning your dreams because they seem unrealistic to everyone else. Instead, you move differently, quietly, confidently, purposefully. And that quiet confidence becomes unshakable because it was built in solitude. The pain of being misunderstood. One of the deepest pains in life is being misunderstood, especially when your heart is genuine, especially when your intentions are pure, especially when you are trying your hardest. People will judge your decisions without understanding your battles. They will criticize your ambition because they cannot imagine your vision. They will mock your discipline because it reminds them of their excuses. And if you are not careful, their doubt will become your prison. That is why walking alone requires emotional strength, because sometimes nobody will clap for you while you're building. Nobody will see the sacrifices. Nobody will understand the nights you cried in silence. Nobody will know how hard you fought just to keep believing. But that does not mean your journey is meaningless. Some seeds grow underground for a long time before anyone sees evidence of life. And just because people cannot see your progress does not mean progress is not happening. The strongest transformations happen internally first. Before confidence appears externally, it is built internally. Before success becomes visible, resilience is developed invisibly. Before greatness is recognized publicly, it is forged privately. That is why you cannot quit during the invisible season. The invisible season is where identity is built, and identity determines destiny. Why most people never become extraordinary. Most people quit too early, not because they lack talent, but because they cannot handle solitude. They need constant reassurance, constant approval, constant evidence that success is guaranteed. But greatness has never worked that way. Every extraordinary person in history experienced moments where nobody believed in them. Imagine how lonely it must have felt to carry a vision the world could not yet understand. That loneliness breaks weak people, but it builds leaders, because leaders learn how to continue without applause. They learn how to trust their vision before results appear. They learn how to endure uncertainty without losing faith, and that is rare. Most people abandon their dreams the moment life becomes uncomfortable. But walking alone teaches you that discomfort is not punishment, it is transformation. The caterpillar feels discomfort before becoming a butterfly, Pressure creates diamonds, fire purifies gold, and struggle reveals character. So if life feels heavy right now, maybe you are not being destroyed. Maybe you are being developed. The strength you discover alone. There are parts of yourself you will never discover in comfort. You only discover them in challenge. You discover your resilience when life tests you. You discover your courage when fear tries to stop you. You discover your discipline when motivation disappears. And you discover your true identity when nobody is around to define it for you. Walking alone forces self-discovery. It forces you to confront yourself honestly. No masks, no performance, no pretending. And that honesty becomes freedom. Because eventually you stop trying to become who everyone expects you to be. You become yourself, fully, authentically, fearlessly. And that authenticity attracts the right people into your life. Not people who love the version of you that performs for approval, but people who respect your truth. That's the beautiful thing about solitude. It filters your life. It reveals who genuinely supports you and who only liked the convenient version of you. And while losing people hurts, losing yourself hurts more. Never sacrifice your future to maintain temporary acceptance. Turning pain into power. Pain changes people. The question is whether it changes you into someone bitter or someone stronger. Because pain can either destroy your spirit or sharpen it. Walking alone often comes with pain, rejection, heartbreak, failure, disappointment, loneliness. And at first, those experiences feel unbearable. But over time, you realize pain carries wisdom. Pain teaches boundaries. Pain teaches resilience. Pain teaches empathy. Pain teaches self-respect. And most importantly, pain teaches you that you can survive things you once thought would break you forever. That realization changes your entire mindset, because once you survive your darkest moments, fear loses power over you. You stop fearing failure so much. You stop fearing rejection so much. You stop fearing being alone so much. Why? Because you already survived it. And survival builds confidence. Not fake confidence based on appearance or validation. Real confidence. The kind built through endurance. The kind built through suffering. The kind built through rising again after life knocked you down. That confidence cannot be taken away, because it was earned. Stop waiting for rescue. One of the most empowering moments in life is realizing nobody is coming to save you. That sounds harsh, but it is freedom. Because the moment you stop waiting for rescue, you reclaim your power. You stop waiting for perfect timing. You stop waiting for approval. You stop waiting for someone else to believe in you first. You become responsible for your own growth, your own healing, your own future. And responsibility is powerful because it gives you control. Yes, life can hurt you. Yes, people can disappoint you. Yes, circumstances can challenge you. But your response still belongs to you. Your mindset still belongs to you. Your next step still belongs to you. And as long as you can take one more step, your story is not over. Walking alone teaches self-reliance, not arrogance, not emotional coldness, but inner stability. You stop collapsing every time life becomes difficult, because you realize strength already exists within you. It was just waiting to be activated. The beauty of becoming unrecognizable. Growth changes you, not just externally, but internally. Your mindset changes. Your standards change. Your energy changes. The things that once entertained you no longer interest you. The people who once drained you no longer have access to you. The habits that once controlled you no longer define you. And sometimes that transformation feels lonely. Because evolving often means becoming unrecognizable to people who only knew your old self. But that is not something to fear. That is evidence of progress. You were never meant to stay the same forever. Life is movement. growth, evolution. And walking alone accelerates that evolution because solitude removes distractions. It gives you space to think deeply, to reflect honestly, to rebuild intentionally. And eventually you realize something incredible. The person you were becoming was worth every lonely step. The people who inspire the world. The people who inspire others are not usually the people who had easy lives. They are the people who endured, the people who kept going when quitting would have been easier, the people who walked through darkness and still chose light. That's why your struggle matters, because one day your story will become someone else's hope. Your resilience will inspire someone to keep fighting. Your courage will remind someone not to give up. Your transformation will prove that pain is not the end. And that is leadership. Leadership is not about perfection. It is about example. People do not connect deeply with perfection. They connect with authenticity, with perseverance, with truth. So never be ashamed of your scars. Your scars are evidence that you survived, and survival is strength. When the world finally notices. There may come a day when the world finally recognizes your growth. The same people who doubted you may suddenly applaud you. The same people who ignored you may suddenly admire you. The same people who questioned your vision may suddenly call you inspiring. But by then, something inside you will have changed, because the validation will no longer matter as much. Why? Because the greatest victory was never external. It was internal. The greatest victory was becoming someone who no longer needed permission to believe in themselves. Someone who learned how to continue despite fear. Someone who became disciplined, resilient, and emotionally strong. Someone who discovered peace within themselves. That is real success. Not money alone, not status alone, but inner peace. The kind that comes from knowing you stayed true to yourself. Final message: you are stronger than you think. If you are walking alone right now, hear this carefully. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not failing. You are being prepared. Prepared for a stronger mindset. Prepared for deeper wisdom. Prepared for a greater purpose. Do not let temporary loneliness convince you that your future is empty. Some chapters feel isolated because they are focused on transformation, and transformation requires separation. So keep walking, even when you are tired, even when nobody understands, even when doubt whispers in your ear, even when progress feels invisible. Keep walking, because every lonely step is building resilience. Every setback is building wisdom. Every painful moment is shaping your character. And one day, you will look back at this season and realize it was not destroying you. It was creating you. The strongest version of you. The fearless version of you. The unbreakable version of you. So walk alone if you must, but never walk without purpose. Never walk without faith. Never walk without believing that something greater is waiting ahead. Because the people who learn how to walk alone with courage eventually become the people strong enough to lead others through the storm. And when that day comes, you will not just survive life, you will master it.